Tēnā koe, Mr. Speaker, kia ora tātou e te whare. Mr. Speaker, these are historic times to be speaking to the 2014 budget as a strong and independent Māori voice in the Parliament of this land. So in 2 days' time, we celebrate 10 years to the day since over 200 people gathered at Wani Waititi Marae in Auckland. At that time, representatives from Te Taitokerau, from Ngāti Whātua, Tāmaki Makaurau, Tainui, Raukawa, Wairiki, Te Arawa in my area, Mātātua, Ngāti Pro, Ngāti Kahununu, Te Atiawa, Ngāti Apa Whanganui, Raukawa ki te Tonga, Jingles across the country and the New Zealand Māori Council, they attended a hui to discuss the need for an independent Māori political voice there. And it was at that hui that it mobilised over 200 Māori leaders to build on the momentum gained from the hikoi opposing Labour's Foreshore and Seabed Act of 2004. This hui unanimously agreed that the people are ready to act collectively to bring to the fore Māori interests of value to all New Zealanders. And so began the journey of the Māori Party, a journey that has taken us through 3 terms of a 3-year term in opposition and 2 subsequent terms in a relationship with the government. Mr. Speaker, today I read a release from the Labour Party which talked about the Māori Party gains in this year's budget, and they described it as being mere crumbs on the table. Crumbs on the table. Now, Mr. Speaker, if $100 million that we achieved in budget 2014 of new money for Māori development was crumbs, then the money received in times of surplus when Labour was around equates to a mere third of a crumb, Mr. Speaker, a third of a crumb. And I'm thinking of the days of plenty, 2007, when theoretically Māori should have been at the very best we've ever seen. Times were good. In that memorable year, Dr. Michael Cullen announced a mere $35.6 million committed not just to Māori, but also to treaty-related initiatives. 35 million. I say memorable, Mr. Speaker, because, of course, 2007 was the year the Labour Party chose to vote against the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People, citing particularly opposition to Article 3, the right to self-determination, Mr. Speaker. That happened on the 13th of September. 1 month later, in the same year, on the 15th of October 2007, more than 300 police carried out the dawn raids on a dozen houses all over Aotearoa in response to what they described as terrorist threats from the Indigenous activists, Mr. Speaker. So yes, in the context of the Tūhoe raids and the rejection of the Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples, I guess even a third of a crumb is memorable, Mr. Speaker. Comparing the two then, 35 million in 2007 for Māori and the treaty, as opposed to 100 million of new money this year for the Māori Party initiatives. That's how it stacks up. But listen, Mr. Speaker, there's a bit more. 35 million in 2007 compared to 300 million across a whole range of votes in 2014 of both new votes and reprioritised funding which has tangible benefits for whānau, hapu and iwi. Now that's just about a little bit over 10% of a crumb, Mr. Speaker. 10% of a crumb. Mr. Speaker, that year was, if we like, a perfect storm. There was a rare combination of circumstances that came together to convince iwi Māori that the time had come for a new direction. That direction came some 12 months later with the relationship formalised between the Māori Party and the government to form a coalition of the willing to negotiate a more successful future for all to enjoy. Budget 2014, Mr. Speaker, reveals that the Māori Party has pushed this government hard on a number of matters, including a commitment to establishing the $30 million Māori Information and Communications Development Fund in 2014-2015, establishment of a $5 million Te Mano Te Wai Fund, establishment of the Centre of Research Excellence for funding of Mātauranga Māori research, recognising the relevance and effectiveness of whānau ora as a lead social and economic transformation approach for Māori, Pacifica peoples and other New Zealanders through the ongoing funding committed to whānau ora and the work of 3 new commissioning agencies and the establishment of a treaty-based partnership group comprising of senior ministers and iwi leaders to provide joint direction, oversight and promotion of whānau ora. I go on. Following up on the recommendations of Te Paipai Motuake, Mr. Speaker, the name of that report was Te Reo Māori Ora, through to the Māori Language Strategy and the proposed amendments to the Māori Language Act that the Honourable Dr. Peter Sharples hopes to introduce into this House prior to the House lifting for the election 2014. Securing funding to invest in 3 economic development initiatives that will address some of the outcomes sought in the Māori Economic Development Strategy and Action Plan He Kai Kei Akoringa. The funding secured for Māori Radio and Te Māngai Pāho for iwi Māori economic development. $16 million for Māori Housing Fund to support repairs and rebuilds of rural housing and developing Māori social housing providers. $90 million to provide free GP visits and free prescriptions for all of our tamariki up to age 13. And most important and most exciting of all, moving the Māori Nation, Mr. Speaker, National Fund, which is about investing in capacity building and development and support for sporting and cultural excellence. And that is just a start, Mr. Speaker. So do we believe in the collective rights of Indigenous peoples? Well, hell yeah. Hell yeah. But what is even more exciting about 2014 budget is that it showed the maturing of the relationship between the Crown and iwi, a relationship that has been evident through iwi leaders being now able to be intimately associated with the policy development process right across key portfolios of the government. So we're particularly proud of the budget's $5 million fund, the package to support children and families as the absolute foundation of our nation. That is what having influence is all about. If I can, in the last few minutes that are available to me, Mr. Speaker, talking about the budget, I'd like to just angle a little bit of discussion across to one of those who are leaving the House today, Mr. Shane Jones, te uri o roto o te au pauri, ngai takoto, tarara anō hoki, taira anō ki taha Wārihi, Welsh. Mr. Speaker, one thing, ko tētahi mea kāre tino pai kiau, ko te wero o te Māori nā, ia au o tira te Pāti Māori ngā tau ko hipāke. Noho kawa nei tērā āhuatanga kiau, engari, ko nei te āhuatanga o tēnei mea o te tōrangapū. Wero atu, wero mai. Tohe atu, tohe mai. Kanui te mihi ki aia. Mihi atu ana ki aia te mea ka puta i te kuaho te whare pāremata i te rānei. Koia tērā, mena kei te whakarongo ia, ka nui te mihi ki aia, koia tēri hara mai, nā rungi te āhuatanga o te kāhui o te hunga i hare ki te koro o tīpene. Ko mahara okero o tērā, ko hone harawira tērā, ko hau, ko etahi atu hara mai, no tērā o ngā kura. Ka mihi ki aia mo te āhuatanga o tana wero, tana whakatakoto kōrero, ki roto i tēnei o ngā whare pāremata. E hari te mea i rata tonu atu au ki ana kōrero katoa, engari i puta nā rungi te āhuatanga ki tāne, ki te ai, ki tāne i rongo nei, kore tae te karo i tērā āhuatanga. Ko tōna ngākau te mea i whakaputa aina i roto i tēnei whare pāremata. He ngākau Māori, e hari te mea i rata mai te ao Māori ki aia. Ai, he wā i hapa, he wā i he. Engari, ko tātou te tangata tērā. Ko etahi, ara anu atu nā he. Engari, i tōna mutunga mai, ko tāna kawe i ana kōrero i roto i tēnei whare pāremata, i e tahi wā, āhua kawa tonu ki tāna taha, ki te reipa, a ko ki te mai ai i tētahi hurahi hei whaina. No reira, e kore mutu, wā ku mihi ki aia, i ai e puta nei tēnei whare pāremata, aha koa, u taku kore rata atu ki ai e tahi wana kōrero, e āhua kawa nei ki au. Engari, koia tērā, i whakaputa aina, i runga i tāna, i kite ai, i tāna i whakapono ai, o tira, o tōna ngākai. Noira kātiake, koinei e tahi paku kupu ki a koe, e te hoa o te koro o tīpene, o tira te hoa o te whare pāremata. I tōna mutunga, aha koe tērā i tērā taha, ko au ki tēnei taha. He Māori anoho ki tāwe i roto i tēnei whare pāremata. Me puta, mā te wāhi ngaro koe, e manaaki e tiaki i rungi tō huarahi hoau. Haere mena manaaki tanga o te wāhi ngaro. Tēnā kūtau, kia ora tātou katoa.
I understand the next call is a split call. 5 minutes. Chris Ockenvold.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I'll seek your indulgence, perhaps get a bell at 4.